During World War II, there was one crop so strange that most Americans had never seen it before. Yet within 2 years, it became one of the most recommended vegetables in every victory garden across the nation. No difficult growing requirements, no complicated harvesting, no special storage needs, just an alien-looking vegetable that produced food faster than almost anything else. The government didn't recommend it because it was familiar. They recommended it because it worked when nothing else did. Complete beginners who had never touched soil grew it successfully on their first attempt. Families who failed with tomatoes and peppers harvested kohlrabi without even trying. 20 million victory gardens proved what modern gardening has deliberately forgotten. The weird vegetable your grandmother grew wasn't weird at all. It was the most practical choice available. And for 80 years, seed companies have hidden this crop behind fancy hybrids and complicated vegetables. Not because kohlrabi stopped working, because it works too easily. Because success doesn't create repeat customers. Tonight, you're learning what the government knew. Plant kohlrabi. If you're new here, this channel exposes forgotten growing methods that powerful industries spend billions suppressing. The crops that guarantee harvests, the techniques that create food independence. Hit subscribe right now. Turn on notifications. Share this with everyone overcomplicating their garden. Let's get into it. Number 1. The vegetable America had never seen. Before World War II, most Americans had never heard the word kohlrabi. The vegetable existed in German and Eastern European kitchens, but had never crossed into mainstream American agriculture. It sat in immigrant gardens, unknown to the broader population. The war changed everything. When victory garden planners tested vegetables for beginner success rates, kohlrabi outperformed crops Americans had grown for generations. It germinated faster. It matured quicker. It tolerated more abuse. The strange vegetable beat familiar favorites in every measurable category. The USDA made a controversial decision. They would recommend a crop most Americans couldn't even pronounce. Government pamphlets included pronunciation guides. Recipe booklets explained how to prepare it. Extension agents demonstrated cooking methods at community meetings. The nation learned a new vegetable because the mathematics demanded it. By 1944, kohlrabi appeared in victory gardens from Maine to California. Families who had never seen one before grew them successfully by the dozens. The alien vegetable became American almost overnight. Here's what the seed industry noticed with alarm. Kohlrabi was too easy. Families didn't fail. They didn't need to buy replacement seeds. They didn't need pest control products or disease treatments. One packet lasted years because nothing went wrong. After the war, kohlrabi quietly disappeared from recommended crop lists. Seed catalogs buried it in back pages. Garden centers stopped stocking it prominently. The vegetable that had fed millions became a curiosity that most modern gardeners have never tried. The kohlrabi didn't change. Only the marketing changed. The crop still grows as easily as it did in 1943. Number 2, the 50-day miracle. Most vegetables take 3 to 4 months from planting to harvest. Tomatoes need 70 to 90 days. Peppers need 60 to 90 days. Squash needs 50 to 100 days, depending on variety. The waiting tests patience that many beginners don't have. Kohlrabi matures in 45 to 55 days. Plant it tonight, harvest it in 7 weeks. This speed changed everything for World War II families facing food uncertainty. A family who planted kohlrabi in early May harvested in mid-June. They planted again immediately. They harvested again in early August. They planted a third time. They harvested in September. 3 complete harvests from the same garden bed in one season. No other vegetable allowed this rapid cycling. No other crop turned limited space into unlimited production through sheer speed. Victory garden supervisors taught succession planting specifically around kohlrabi's fast maturity. Plant every 3 weeks from spring through late summer. Harvest continuously from early summer through fall frost. Never experience gaps in fresh vegetable availability. The mathematics multiplied production dramatically. 1 bed planted once produced 1 harvest. 1 bed planted repeatedly produced 5 or 6 harvests. The same square footage generated 5 times the food through timing alone. Modern gardening advice rarely emphasizes succession planting. Seed companies prefer you planting everything at once, failing partially, and buying more seeds next year. Continuous success through strategic timing doesn't generate repeat sales. Kohlrabi's speed makes succession planting obvious. The vegetable practically demands replanting because it finishes so quickly. That built-in production multiplier is exactly why the industry would rather you grow slower crops. Number 3. The temperature tolerance secret. Most vegetables demand specific temperature ranges. To cold, and they die. To hot, and they bolt. The window of acceptable growing conditions limits when and where crops succeed. Kohlrabi ignores temperature rules that other vegetables obey. It germinates in soil as cool as 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Most vegetables need 60 to 70 degrees. This means kohlrabi planting starts weeks before anything else can go in the ground. The growing season begins earlier. It tolerates light frost without damage. Temperatures that kill tomatoes and peppers don't affect kohlrabi. This means harvests continue weeks after tender crops have died. The growing season ends later. It resists bolting in heat better than lettuce, spinach, or other cool season crops. Summer temperatures that make greens bitter and tough don't ruin kohlrabi. The growing season extends through months other crops can't handle. World War II gardeners in northern states particularly valued this tolerance. Short growing seasons limited what they could produce. Kohlrabi stretched those seasons at both ends, adding weeks of production that other vegetables couldn't provide. Southern gardeners valued it for opposite reasons. Summer heat destroyed cool season crops. Kohlrabi continued producing when lettuce had long since bolted. The temperature flexibility meant universal success. Northern gardens, southern gardens, coastal gardens, mountain gardens. Climate variations that caused other crops to fail didn't affect kohlrabi enough to matter. One crop working everywhere was exactly what a national victory garden program needed. Regional recommendations, complicated messaging. A vegetable that succeeded universally simplified everything. Number 4. The pest resistance phenomenon. Cabbage worms devastate cabbage. Flea beetles destroy radishes. Aphids overwhelm broccoli. The Brassica family suffers constant pest pressure that discourages beginners and frustrates experienced gardeners alike. Kohlrabi belongs to this family but somehow escapes the worst damage. World War II entomologists documented the phenomenon without fully explaining it. Kohlrabi planted next to cabbage suffered less pest damage despite being related crops. The bulbous stem seemed to confuse insects, expecting leafy targets. The growth habit deterred pests adapted to different plant structures. Whatever the mechanism, the result was consistent. Kohlrabi produced harvests when related crops failed to pest pressure. Victory garden records showed the pattern repeatedly. Families who lost cabbage to worms still harvested kohlrabi. Gardens overwhelmed by flea beetles on radishes reported minimal damage to kohlrabi. The vegetable succeeded where its relatives struggled. This pest resistance mattered enormously during wartime. Pesticides were restricted. The chemicals available today didn't exist or weren't available to home gardeners. Families had to grow crops that survived without chemical intervention. Kohlrabi required no spraying, no dusting, no treatments of any kind. The plant defended itself well enough that beginners needed no pest management knowledge to succeed. Modern gardening assumes pesticide availability. Recommendations include spray schedules and chemical applications. The industry sells pest control products as necessary garden inputs. Kohlrabi doesn't need what they're selling. The natural pest resistance makes chemical intervention unnecessary for most home gardeners. That's precisely why it disappeared from prominent recommendations after the war. Number 5. The complete edibility advantage. Most vegetables offer one edible part. You eat tomato fruits but not the leaves. You eat carrot roots but not the tops. You eat lettuce leaves but there's nothing else to harvest. Kohlrabi provides two completely different vegetables from one plant. The bulbous stem is the primary harvest. It tastes like a mild sweet broccoli stem crossed with apple. It can be eaten raw, sliced into salads, roasted, steamed, or stir-fried. One bulb provides multiple meals worth of food. The leaves are equally edible. They taste similar to collard greens or kale. They can be sautéed, added to soups, or used anywhere cooking greens appear in recipes. One plant provides both vegetables and greens. World War II nutritionists calculated the dual harvest advantage. A garden bed growing kohlrabi produced bulbs plus cooking greens. The same bed growing only bulb crops produced less total food. The same bed growing only greens produced less caloric density. Kohlrabi maximized both categories simultaneously. The dual harvest extended even further. Kohlrabi leaves can be harvested progressively without killing the plant. take outer leaves for cooking while inner leaves continue growing. The bulb keeps developing underneath. By harvest time, you've eaten greens for weeks and still get the full bulb. No other common vegetable offers this progressive double harvest. The closest comparison is beets, but beet greens taste stronger and appeal to fewer people. Modern seed marketing ignores kohlrabi's dual nature. They'd rather sell you 2 packets for 2 different crops than 1 packet that produces both. Your ignorance of the complete edibility advantage generates their additional sales. Number 6. The space efficiency mathematics. Victory gardens occupied limited space. Urban plots measured in square feet, not acres. Every plant had to justify its footprint through production. Kohlrabi justified itself better than almost any alternative. The plant grows 12 to 18 inches in all directions. Call it 2 square feet of garden space at maximum. That space produces a 1 to 4 pound bulb plus continuous greens harvests over 6 weeks. Compare this to crops with similar space requirements. A cabbage plant needs similar space but takes twice as long to mature. The harvest is 1 head instead of bulb plus greens. Production per square foot per day falls dramatically. A broccoli plant needs similar space but produces 1 main head plus small side shoots. Total harvest weight often falls below kohlrabi. The dual harvest advantage disappears. A cauliflower plant needs similar space but frequently fails. Heads don't form properly. Temperature fluctuations cause bolting. Beginner success rates plummet below 30%. World War II garden planners calculated space efficiency as pounds of food per square foot per growing day. Kohlrabi ranked among the highest for cool season crops. Only radishes beat it, and radishes provided far less total food per plant. The calculation extended to intensive planting as well. Kohlrabi tolerates closer spacing than many crops. 8 inches between plants is adequate instead of 12 or 18. More plants fit in the same area, multiplying already impressive yields. Modern garden planning emphasizes variety over efficiency. Grow many different things, fill beds with diverse crops, buy more seeds to plant more types. That advice serves seed sales, not gardener success. A bed of kohlrabi feeds a family better than a bed divided among 6 struggling crops. Number 7. The raw consumption revelation. Cooking requires time, fuel, and equipment. During World War II, all 3 were constrained. Fuel rationing limited stove use. Time pressures from war work reduced cooking availability. Equipment shortages made elaborate preparation impossible. Kohlrabi solved the cooking problem by requiring no cooking at all. The bulb is delicious, raw, crisp, sweet, and mild. Children who refused cooked vegetables ate raw kohlrabi slices willingly. The texture resembles an apple. The taste resembles a sweeter, milder broccoli stem. Victory garden families learned to serve kohlrabi as a raw snack. Peeled and sliced bulbs replaced crackers and chips that weren't available. School lunches included kohlrabi sticks alongside sandwiches. The vegetable required no preparation beyond basic cleaning and cutting. This raw consumption extended practical benefits. Vitamins survive better without cooking. The vitamin C in raw kohlrabi reaches consumers intact rather than degraded by heat. Families eating raw kohlrabi received more nutrition per pound than families eating cooked vegetables. The convenience factor mattered for wartime households. Women working factory shifts didn't have hours for food preparation. Fathers managing households while mothers worked needed simple solutions. Children old enough to peel a vegetable could prepare their own snacks. Kohlrabi served all these needs. Minimal preparation, maximum nutrition, instant availability without cooking. Modern food culture emphasizes elaborate recipes and complex preparation. Cooking shows celebrate difficult techniques. Cookbooks feature multi-step processes. The message is clear: food requires effort. Kohlrabi contradicts this messaging completely. The best way to eat it is the simplest way. That simplicity doesn't sell cookbooks, cooking equipment, or complicated ingredients. So the simplest vegetable gets ignored. Number 8. The seed-saving simplicity. Kohlrabi is biennial. It produces seed in its second year. This seems like a disadvantage compared to annual vegetables that seed the same season they're planted. In practice, the biennial nature made seed-saving foolproof. World War II gardeners left a few kohlrabi plants in the ground over winter. The plants survived cold that killed annual crops. In spring, the overwintered plants produced flower stalks, followed by seed pods. One plant produced thousands of seeds. One successful overwintering provided more planting stock than a family could use in decades. The mathematics overwhelmed any need for purchasing. Here's what made kohlrabi seed saving easier than other biennials. The plants are small enough to protect easily. A simple mulch layer or cold frame protected them through freezing temperatures. Families didn't need elaborate infrastructure to save seed. The plants cross-pollinate only with other brassicas. A garden growing kohlrabi alone produced pure seed without isolation concerns. Only families growing kohlrabi plus cabbage plus broccoli needed to worry about crosses. The seed remains viable for 4 to 5 years. Under basic storage conditions, one successful seed-saving effort covered half a decade of plantings. The multi-year viability reduced urgency around annual saving. After the war, hybrid varieties couldn't reproduce true from seed. Seed companies pushed these varieties specifically because they required annual repurchase. The kohlrabi that saved perfectly was replaced by kohlrabi that couldn't be saved at all. Open-pollinated kohlrabi still exists. It still saves perfectly. Seed companies just don't promote it because your success becomes their lost revenue. One kohlrabi plant left to flower produces enough seed to supply a neighborhood. That's the equation they hope you never discover. This wasn't just a vegetable recommendation. This was survival mathematics calculated by a government that needed citizens feeding themselves. No marketing budgets, no profit motives, no hidden agendas, just data proving one crop succeeded when others failed. 20 million families trusted this advice. They planted kohlrabi when they'd never heard the word before. They harvested kohlrabi when familiar vegetables disappointed. They fed children through rationing using vegetables that looked like alien spacecraft. The seed industry spent 80 years making you forget. They promoted difficult crops. They pushed varieties that fail. They made gardening complicated because complexity creates repeat customers. But the kohlrabi hasn't changed. The seeds still grow. The bulbs still form. The leaves still provide bonus harvests. Everything your great-grandparents learned remains true. If you're overcomplicating your garden, stop tonight. Plant kohlrabi. Just kohlrabi. Nothing else until you've mastered this one crop. Watch one plant produce more easily than your entire complicated garden produced last year. Then you'll understand what the government knew in 1943. Simple wins, kohlrabi wins. Everything else is marketing. I'll see you in the next video.